Hey there! Welcome back to the Boring Channel. Whether this is your first time here or you're already a proud history sleeper, I'm really glad you stopped by. Tonight's topic is one of the most famous and chaotic chapters in European history: the French Revolution. But don't worry, we're not diving into fast-paced battles or shouting mobs. We're slowing it way down and looking at what it actually would have been like to be an average person, trying to survive in the streets of Paris while the old world crumbled around you. But before we dive into powdered wigs, uneven breadlines, and endless political pamphlets, take a second to like this video. It really helps out the channel. And if you enjoy winding down with slow, sleepy storytelling, feel free to subscribe. Leave a comment to tell me where you're watching from, or how long it took you to doze off. Alright, deep breath. Let's go back to France. Around 1789, you wake up in a tiny, creaky apartment in a section of Paris that smells of bread, smoke, and sewage. You're not wealthy, you're not royal, you're not even a revolutionary. Not yet. You're just a working class person. A weaver, maybe, or a shop apprentice. Or maybe you sell old books that no one can afford anymore. Your bed is straw, and it's damp. You share your room with your sister, your cousin, and your cousin's goat, who, unfortunately, thinks your foot is hay. There's no heat. It's early spring, and a chill leaks through the cracked shutters. You shiver a bit, pull your only blanket tighter, and listen to the clatter of horses in the street below. Your day starts with hunger. The price of bread, again, has gone up. A loaf that once cost you half a sou now takes nearly 2 days' wages. And that's if you're lucky enough to have wages. You wrap a scarf around your head, step out into the street, and shuffle into a queue that wraps around the bakery. Nobody talks much. Everyone's tired and angry. But it's a quiet kind of anger. The kind that simmers low, like coals under ashes. You finally get your bread. It's small, stale, and cracked down the middle, but it's food. On the walk home, you pass a group of They hand out little sheets of paper, covered in sloppy, passionate ink. They talk about freedom, equality, and brotherhood. But for now, all you care about is eating something before it gets dark. You tuck the pamphlet into your coat. It might make for good fire starter later. Life under the monarchy is complicated. You know the king's name, Louis XVI. You've never seen him, of course. But you know he lives in a palace so large, it has its own gardens bigger than your entire district. Meanwhile, you're taxed for things you don't understand. Salt, shoes, doors, windows, candles. Yes, if your roof leaks, that's your problem. And then there's the clergy, the church, who demand donations from people who can barely afford soap. Meanwhile, they wear silk robes and drink wine you couldn't even pronounce. You've heard whispers lately. People say the king is losing his grip, that a new kind of government is being formed, that the people might soon be in charge. But you've also heard about riots, heads on pikes, streets running red, and though you don't say it out loud, you wonder which would be worse: staying poor under a king, or trying to live through a revolution. That night, your friend says there's a meeting in a nearby hall. He says it's the National Assembly. They're rewriting the rules, rebuilding society. It sounds thrilling, in theory, but you're tired. You've spent the day waiting for food, washing out your only shirt in cold water, and avoiding the city guards who grow more nervous by the hour, so you stay home. You light a candle, and you read that pamphlet from earlier. The one you almost burned. It talks about freedom, about how every man is born equal. You wonder if that includes you. You, with your split boots, crooked teeth, and fingers stained from dye and ink and grime. Weeks pass. The streets grow louder. There are speeches in the parks, shouting in the taverns, and more heads turning on more pikes. You try to keep your head down. Not just metaphorically. Then, the king is arrested. They say he tried to flee. And suddenly, you're no longer a subject. You're a citizen. But what does that mean? Your job hasn't changed. Your walls still leak. The bread is still expensive. And now there are men in red caps screaming about traitors. Anyone with a nice coat might be one. Anyone who says the wrong thing, or nothing at all, might be hauled off. The reign of terror begins. It starts slowly. A few executions, a few whispers. But then, every day, the guillotine. You hear it from blocks away, like a cart tipping over, followed by silence. A neighbor disappears. Then your cousin. Then the bookseller who once gave you old pages for free. You don't sleep well. You think again about that question. Could you survive this? Not just the cold, not just the hunger, but the uncertainty, the endless tension, the feeling that no matter where you stand, you're in the wrong place. You try to avoid taking sides. But in a time like this, even silence is dangerous. And when the guards come knocking, you realize something. You weren't meant to be a hero. You weren't meant to shape history. You just wanted warm soup and dry socks. But history doesn't ask for permission. It crashes through lives. It doesn't wait for the brave. It swallows the quiet, too. So, could you last a day in revolutionary Paris? Maybe. But would you sleep easy? Almost certainly not. Thanks for spending this quiet hour with me. I hope this helped you relax, drift off, or at least take a break from modern chaos. If you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the Boring channel, and leave a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Sweet dreams. And remember, sometimes the most heroic thing you can do in history is make it through the day.